Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year. Can I still say that on the 19th of January? Jasper Donut here, CEO of Branded. Great to see you back online. We're all, if you remember the last time we saw each other, we were live, real life in Singapore, but now we're back being virtual. Welcome back to the Music Matters Academy. For those of you who haven't joined before, it's a series of virtual events designed to help build a foundation for music and the next generation of music business leaders to learn and upskill through the mentorship and knowledge sharing of global industry icons. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, whether you're an artist or an executive, it has never been more exciting to be in the music business today. You could be an artist, you could be a manager wanting to get noticed, you could be an executive looking to learn about other areas of the business. The Music Masters Academy is the business of music taught here by the music business. Our first modules have covered publishing, platforms, getting noticed, artist management, and have been watched by over 60,000 people. Plus, as I said, we were live in Singapore in November as well. Today is all about NFTs. It's the hottest topic around, and later in the series we will move on to entertainment law, working with brands, live streaming and touring, as well as mental health and well-being. So please do look out for those sessions as well. As I said, the content is virtual and it's live, it's fireside, but we also want to hear from you. We want it to be interactive, so please do get questions in. If you're watching on YouTube, in the chat there, if you're watching on the Bizzabo site and the chat there, they will be fed to me, and I will be asking the questions to the speakers. There is also as usual a small private meet and greet with all the speakers after the session, and you're welcome to join. You just need to sign up. Spaces are limited, and I think we were pretty close to being full. So if you just look at the Bizzabo site, you've got to be registered at the Academy. Sign in there, and then after the session we can go straight in. You can ask them all sorts of personal questions in that session as well. Finally, you will have noticed that the Music Matters Academy is free to attend, and that is 100% thank you to our sponsors and partners, including YouTube, Believe, Ureeqa, Dolby, and Steinberg Protocol, and lots of other wonderful media partners as well. So if you look at the website, you'll see all their lovely logos. Click on the logos and subscribe to them and buy their services and do everything else, and love them, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And thank you for joining. Please do enjoy, please learn, and don't forget to get those questions in. If you have any feedback, please get hold of us. Send us anything you think that we could be doing to improve, any subjects you think we should be covering as well. Jasper at branded.live. Very, very easy. Anyway, speaking of sponsors and speaking of Ureeqa, they have very kindly come on board to help us produce today's session. It's NFT time. It's easily the hottest topic in the music industry today. The buzz in 2021 was all about NFTs. Here's a great quote. The NFT world is likely the greatest unlock of artist opportunity in over 100 years. This isn't a suboptimal or fringe version of the real world art economy. It's a vastly improved one. So that's the good side. Let's look at what Jack said from Twitter on the next slide. You don't own Web3, the VCs and their LPs do. So it is a very exciting time, but we have to be careful. So what we're hoping to do today is learn more about what NFTs are, how you can launch them, how you can mint them, how you can succeed from them, but also, do you have to do them, or do you have to launch them? So we're very excited today to be really going back to the start and doing a 101 on NFTs. Where do you begin? Where does it end? Is it just a lot of hype? We want to explore everything to do with NFTs. With our friends from Ureeqa, which are a crypto exchange. And also we have Bolt and Believe, plus an artist, a wonderful article, Maggie, joining us today as well. So we're very, very happy to be here. In a moment, you will hear from Ureeqa, you will hear from Maggie, you'll hear from Bolt. But first, we're going to hear from a music company, from Believe. who have participated in a lot of the academy so far the last few segments. This is a quick interview that we recorded yesterday because Salim is in France, and so the time zones just weren't going to work. So please meet Salim Jawad. He is Believe's digital global creative strategist. He's based in Paris. He shares some really fascinating thoughts and insights, having just managed their first NFT campaign. Interviewing him is this great guy called Jasper. So over to you, Jasper. Salim, welcome to the Music Matters Academy. As I said, who are you, where are you, and tell us a little bit more about your role at Believe.
Hi, Jasper. Hi, everyone. Thanks for welcoming me. And I'm pretty excited to be with you guys today. So yeah, as you told, I'm global creative strategist for Believe, which is the main music distributor in the world. And basically, I work at the central level within the creative marketing team. So we are based in Paris, and my role is to support local teams on creativity, innovation, and also production topics.
Brilliant. Now we're talking NFTs. It is very early days, but we know that you've got involved in a campaign recently for an artist called NTO, or Ento, if I was in France. Tell us a little bit more. What was the campaign? How did it work out?
Yeah, so to date, we only released one campaign. So we released the first campaign in late December. It was made for French electro artist named Ento, who was releasing his first album called Apnea. So this album symbolizes the encounter between the artist Ento and Arthur Guérin, who is an apnea diver, was multiple-time world champion. And we wanted to propose an NFT that was meaningful with the whole project, and that also embodies the project DNA. So we went through like different phases. What kind of NFT do you want to propose to the audience? How much NFTs do we want to create? Is that a special one or theories? On which blockchain also do we want to create this NFT? On which marketplace do we want to go? And other more specific question, let's say, on how do we consider the NFT within the artist contract? And yeah, so finally we decided to organize a contest, not to sell this NFT, but to offer the NFT to the audience. We decided to create an exclusive video, only viewable by the owner. And also we linked two incentives to this NFT, two concert invitation and a meet and greet with the artist. So yeah, it was meaningful to the whole project. So it also had an impact, as I told you, on the blockchain tech we choose, for example, because it was kind of a project not promoting the ocean, but linked to the nature and stuff like that. So we decided to go on a grid blockchain, Polygon, instead of going on Ethereum, for example. So yeah, we had pretty good result on this first campaign with more than 2K participation to the contest in only 3 days. And we also had good press coverage from media and crypto, music and media, crypto media, sorry. So yeah, this is the only campaign we launched yet, but others are coming really soon. So yeah, stay tuned.
So how is Believe involved in the whole NFT process? And congratulations on the campaign, but you know, talking bigger picture, how is Believe now involved?
Yeah, so in February, March of last year, we started getting interested in NFT because it was like the bumping word. So we first created a task force with different services, from a creative marketing team to a tech team to a legal or even finance, to better understand how the whole NFT world works, and to determine also on which aspects we needed support. And then after this studying phase, and after building some expertise, we try to identify artists interested in the whole crypto world, and also in NFT more specifically. And yeah, now we are building the first campaigns, trying to get the first learnings. And we didn't want to start too early because we didn't want to release NFT just to say, hey guys, look, we are doing NFTs. No, we wanted to propose like something really meaningful, because many projects we saw during this studying phase, let's say, in the music industry especially, were not well received by the fans, who considered them as a way for artists to make money on their back, even if we saw like crazy results on some campaigns, but that were more focused on the crypto audience.
So talking about NFTs in general, what's good about NFTs? If I was an artist, what's good about it?
NFTs to me a way to really be innovative. You know, like NFT can be seen as let's say a kind of a surprise box where you can put everything you want in and then propose it to your fans. But it's also kind of a complicated world. So before going in this field, you have to learn to read different articles, to try NFT process on your own as well. For example, try to get an NFT, to sell an NFT that you're not created, but that you can find on OpenSea, on different marketplaces, to really understand the whole process, the whole world of NFT. And last but not least, in terms of innovation and creativity, it's a source of inspiration with no boundaries.
It's fabulous. So that's the good stuff, and we're seeing NFTs in the headlines everywhere. It's why we're doing this session today. Where do you see artists getting it wrong?
I think that let's say that it's a classical mistake, because when you're in front of something generating lots of revenue, you want your share of the cake, and you only like consider the financial aspect. So if I have one advice to give to the artist, is not considering NFTs as a way to make money, but really a way to be innovative, to strengthen your community of super fans, and yeah, to empower your fans.
That's a brilliant insight. The idea of use it for innovation, not for purely for revenue. Final question: if I were an artist, what advice would you give me about launching NFTs?
Take an interest in NFTs, read articles, as I told you, integrate Discord group chats to see how it works internally, let's say, and yeah, always monitor what's going on different websites, because it's constantly evolving, and yeah, keep an eye on it. And it's a passionating world, so I'm pretty sure that you will have some creative insight, and yeah, consider it as a marketing lever to empower your fans, really.
Fantastic. So use for marketing, innovation, communication directly with fans, not necessarily as a revenue driver. That comes next. But make sure that as an artist we understand and learn everything about the market before jumping into it. Selim, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Paris. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you in person one day at Music Matters in Asia. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Selim, and thank you, of course, Jasper. We're back live, and we now have a properly global panel. There's at least 3 of us in the US and 1 of us in Singapore. We're going to be talking with a leading artist, Maggie Szabo. We have Crystal Kwek, who's in Singapore. She's the co-founder and CTO of Bolt Global. Those 2 are going to be whisked away into a virtual back room for the time being. They will be back. We will be talking to them. But first, we're going to start with Ureeqa VP of Music, Scott McCracken. Scott has worked with the Black Eyed Peas, 98 Degrees, Fugees, and Lauryn Hill, and many, many, many more in a very long music career. So Scott, thank you again to Ureeqa for supporting this session, because it's because of you we're doing this. Now, also before we just talk to Scott, remember, anyone, you can meet the speakers after this session, but you have to sign up for that on the website. Scott, tell us a little bit more before we talk about you. Tell us about Ureeqa. What is Ureeqa?
Ureeqa is a blockchain company based in Kitchener, Ontario, and they have been operational now for just a little over a year and a half. When I met the founder of the company, roughly around this time last year, what was really clear to me was that this was a group of people who were passionate about protecting artists and creators, helping them to protect and define their work in a way that allowed them to monetize it to its fullest and put in guardrails to prevent, as best as we can in this digital world, mechanisms to prevent fraud and all the other various shenanigans that go on in the digital space. And as Ureeqa is now opening up and growing more, the music strategy was sort of the next development. The next artists and creators in the space that Ureeqa felt that they wanted to be a powerful ally in helping them to protect their IP. So we started the music business in May of this year, and we're growing in ways that I couldn't have fathomed 6 months ago. We have other verticals within inside of Ureeqa that are all sort of operate in the general idea that we want to stand with creators and help them to protect their works on the blockchain. That in a nutshell, I think defines what Ureeqa's mission and goal is.
Nice. So let's go back to you. Who is Scott McCracken? Now we mentioned that you have worked with some pretty big names in the past. Who are you? Where are you in the world right now? And if I think you're a very happily married person, but if you were on a first date, what would you tell him you did for a living?
Okay, so I'm in a town called Concord, Massachusetts, about 20 minutes outside of Boston. I'm a born in the wall, die in the wall New Yorker, and I moved up here because I fell in love with a woman from here. So my first date question would be, I hope you don't live in Massachusetts. That's a lesson I've learned from the past. I'm always uncomfortable.
What do your family think you do for a living?
Well, I grew up with a father who was a musician who played. He was in Steely Dan. He was the first member of Wings, Paul McCartney's band. I mean, I grew up in a studio. My dad played with all the Beatles. So music has been a part of my life from the get-go, and my family supported that. I was an A&R guy at Atlantic Records in the late 80s, and I saw how some of the most influential people that I respected and wanted to emulate were managers, and the good ones also had law degrees. So I got myself a law degree. I came back into the world, and I ate a lot of ramen for years, hoping to get something to pop, and then in very short order, after 3 years of starvation, the Spin Doctors and the Fugees all exploded at somewhat the same time. And I was very fortunate to be there, and I have drafted behind those successes now for a long time. As far as what I tell people I do, I just usually tell people, if it's not music related, I just tell people I'm a lawyer. It's just the safest, easiest way out.
And the biggest insight of all to take out of this for any young musician watching is eat ramen, clearly. So tell us, and last question before we meet Crystal, but how are you, Scott, and Ureeqa? I think you touched on this before, but how are you working in the NFT space with artists?
So first, we're deploying a music business, a music publishing administration business, which is allowing the artists that sign with us to be able to collect their publishing royalties from around the world. It is a business that there are many people in this space. We are the first company that is hashing all of our writers' copyrights on the blockchain. We're incorporating content into that hashing that doesn't exist in any copyright strategy to date. So, if you look up the copyright of a song, Don't Give Up, you might find 300 song titles with Don't Give Up. But if you're looking for that information and there are a Ureeqa artist, not only will you find all that information, but you'll find an MP3 or some music file that will explain. It'll give you an opportunity to define what the copyright is that you're looking for. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
no, it does. And you're very interested in meeting new artists as well to help them.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. My personal passion in music has always been to be early in with artists, to help them understand who they are, and to sort of be able to strip away all the things they think they need to be and find their authentic self. Because until you can deliver your authentic self as an artist, I think people see right through it, and you never get anywhere. So with our publishing business, we want to be in early on as well. So we're doing a lot of things. We're creating a lot of writing camps and opportunities for our writers, to not only just help them with their collection, but to also help them grow their career. That's
really interesting that you mentioned authenticity. Still, you can't hide behind the blockchain. We'll come back to that when we have the three of you together, and we can talk about authenticity and stuff. But Scott, for now, thank you so much. You're going to get whisked back into the back room there, and next up we're going to meet Crystal Queck. Now, Crystal, we met you last year. We met you live at Sports Matters and Music Matters. But please, and a very happy New Year to you, by the way. But please do give us a little bit of background of tell us about Bolt, tell us about yourself. Where are you? Who are you? And how are you working in the NFT space?
Oh, thank you so much, Jasper. And it's nice to see you too as well. Hopefully you can come back to Singapore soon. So Bolt is an ecosystem of blockchain-based products, and we are built to enable creative and financial freedom for the Web3 economy. And we have a couple of products to make that happen. Bolt Plus, which is our live streaming service. Bolt X, our self-custody crypto wallet for crypto tokens and NFTs. And we have our own token as well, and Bolt Z, which is our own decentralized finance exchange. So on the NFT space, we're actually working on something really exciting right now, which is a NFT-powered social network. We've had different streamers and content creators on our platform that have actually, wanted to issue their own NFTs through us, but we're working with them on that subject, because we do believe that NFTs, as Scott from Ureeqa had said, right, it shouldn't just be about vanity; it should be about utility as well, and that's super important. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of interesting insight later from Maggie about the subject, since she's an artist herself. Yeah.
Cool. And what's an NFT-powered social network? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's sort of our way of trying to give a little bit of utility back into the whole NFT ecosystem. So what we have realized is that a lot of people who have NFTs right now, the only way for you to build a community or to interact with people who also hold an NFT is to join a Discord server, go into all of that jargon, and it's super technical. It's not always the most user-friendly experience. And we wanted to look at how we could reimagine the whole community building for an NFT, for NFT holders, So if, for example, I bought a CryptoPunk, I bought a Bored Ape Yacht Club for, astonishing price of 200K, like pretty much a down payment for a house, right? I think it'd be really good if people could actually just come together and share ideas and grow the community, because the holders of NFTs should have an opportunity to look at how they can influence community direction, influence the growth of, what they want to do with that actual unique digital asset, right? It's a ticket to something, So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So basically, you need to have this NFT to enter the social network, and we're going to do that because we have our own live streaming service and our own integrated wallet. So as soon as you come into, say, Bolt Plus / CryptoPunk, right? And if you have the CryptoPunk NFT, you can enter the CryptoPunk NFT community on Bolt Plus itself, and you can post pictures, share ideas, do governance voting, that sort of thing that everybody in the blockchain space is very excited about. So yeah, I'm super excited about that, and looking forward to bringing it to the masses in the community.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Crystal. We're gonna hear from you again By the way, there was a brilliant thing we did at Music Matters in November. We created, or Crystal created, the Quack list, which was the 10 things to know and love about NFTs. So we'll touch on some of those in a bit. So Crystal, again, thank you for joining us live from Singapore. And yes, I do hope to be back there next week. We're going to go just up the road from me in Los Angeles now. Maggie, we have a wonderful artist called Maggie. How are you, Maggie? Now, I've just said that you're in Los Angeles, but where are you? Who are you? I mean, you're an artist, so it's quite easy. What do you do for a living? But how are you also? How are you working with, or thinking of working with NFTs?
Yeah, so I'm currently in West Hollywood in Los Angeles. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I've been in LA for about 7 years now. I am a recording artist. I'm an independent artist specifically. I'm a songwriter. And the way I got involved in this whole world is, I've been an independent artist for my entire career. And Scott, my manager, who you saw before, we've really been able to build quite a platform, build a fan base and an audience, and we've done it all independently. And basically, I hire the PR services, I put together my own music videos, I produce the songs, I write them, I sing them. So we're really operating as my own label, running my own business. So being an independent artist, of course, you're kind of in charge of everything, and I'm also funding everything as well. All of the money I make, a lot of that goes back into building my business to continue to grow my fan base and reach more people with my music. And so recently I met a company, Ureeqa, who Scott was speaking about with before. And with this whole new world we're living in now with NFTs and crypto, as an independent artist like myself, there's just so many more opportunities for myself to raise money and to raise awareness, opportunities that didn't exist before, especially someone like myself. I've always shied away from the traditional record label structure because we have been successfully running our own business so far, and labels come along and they offer us deals, and the deals are not great at all. And they honestly, I don't think they would do a better job than we would. So it just has never made sense. So the fun thing about this is that it really gives power and control to independent artists like myself. So Ureeqa came along and they purchased a piece of my song, My Oh My. It was on radio in Canada. It's been streaming online, and they're basically going to piece that off into NFTs so that other people can invest in artists like myself. So it's a really great opportunity for people in my position because it gives me a creative way of raising more marketing money that I'm in control of, rather than that money coming from a label. And then for people who are buying these NFTs, it's a fun way to invest in artists and music that they're passionate about. So it's a really great opportunity for everyone involved.
Fantastic. And so Maggie, you're right at the start of your adventure, right? I mean,
yeah.
What's really exciting you about it? And then on the flip side of that, what's keeping you up at night thinking about it, if anything?
Well, I think the exciting part is just because it is relatively a new thing. It's always exciting to see kind of how it's going to unfold and what other opportunities can come out of it. And even just posting about this seminar on my social media, like so many artist friends were hitting me up, like, I don't know anything about NFTs. They have nothing. They just don't even know where to start. And so I feel pretty lucky that I'm kind of in the beginning of my process as far as this goes, just because I am learning a lot, and there's just so many opportunities that I know will come from it. And as far as the things that are keeping me up at night, we were talking about before, don't release an NFT just to release an NFT. And I think that's a really important point to make, because it's the same with music, right? Like, just because I write a song doesn't mean I should release it tomorrow. I'll write 100 songs before I release one. And even with that one song, we spend months prepping the song, producing it, mixing it, mastering it, putting in the right marketing efforts behind it, taking it to radio, putting a music video behind it. So there's so much planning that goes into, for example, one song. And I think people really need to take a look at NFTs like that also. You have to make sure that it's set up properly. You have the correct plan behind it. And just because you can release and put out an NFT doesn't mean that right now is the time. I think you need to put in the planning and the proper efforts, because as an artist, everything you put out there, that's a reflection of who you are. So it's really important that everything is well planned out, well thought out, and it's well organized.
Fantastic. I mean, Maggie, it's lovely to have you joining the Academy. I know that there's a lot of our subscribers and attendees are falling in love with you, everything you're saying. And I wish you'd been in all the sessions earlier, because there's a little bit of you talking about publishing, a little bit talking about management, talking about managing your own career and having your team around you and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for joining. So we're going to bring Scott and hopefully Crystal back. There may be a couple of technical issues with Crystal. So as soon as we got, okay, the camera is back. So look, it's great to have you all with us. As my brief is to everyone all the time, there's 4 of us, we're in a bar and we're having a chat. Now we know who each of you are, and that you're all from extremely different backgrounds. Let's go back to the beginning and really what this subject is all about. I'm going to ask you, Crystal, because it's a tech question. What is an NFT, and why should I be? And let's say if I was an artist, because I've now been inspired by Maggie, why would I be so excited, and how would I launch one? What do I do?
Well, launching one is actually really simple. I mean, there are a lot of ways to do it right now. You can launch one directly on a marketplace. You can go the completely technical way and launch it directly on, say, a Ethereum blockchain by using it through MetaMask or getting a developers to help you. So the technical part, I would say, pretty much you can launch an NFT literally in half an hour, 15 minutes, even if you're really, really fast and your developers are really good. But an NFT is what we call a non-fungible token. So trying to break that down, it is a unique token linked to a smart contract that gives you direct ownership to something, you know. So it could be a piece of artwork, it could be a great soundtrack from Maggie, you know, it could be a new virtual experience in the metaverse. I'm actually really surprised we haven't spoken about the metaverse in the last couple of minutes. So, you know, I don't know if the hype has died down. I'm joking, I don't think the hype has died down. But basically that is a ticket to something. That is how I like to explain it to different people, because, you know, some guys are like, you know, how is it that NFTs are selling, you know, for an astonishing amount of money today? But people aren't just buying it for the digital flex. You know, they're actually buying it because it means something to them, and it is an access point to a community and experience. And that's how I like to sort of explain it. So NFTs sound super technical, but actually it's part of the evolution of human connection, I would say.
Nice quote. I'm going to quote, I think we'll be quoting you on that. Sorry, so the evolution of human connection.
Yes.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So thank you for that. And Maggie, back to you here. What, you know, if you're planning your NFT campaign, what do you get as the content owner, as the seller, and what does the buyer get as the buyer? But yeah, what does each side get?
Yeah. So as the content owner myself, I would get, you know, monetary gains from that, which in my case, I would be putting back towards my business, either whether it's the next song, putting back into production, which then allows me to continue to build my business even more, hopefully grow my audience and my fan base even more, and then continue just to grow it, right? So for myself, it's just a great way of investing back in the business and continuing to fund the growth. From the buyer's perspective, I mean, it depends on me as an artist, what I choose to sell. If it's a piece of my publishing, if it's a piece of the master, if it's a meeting with me every day, once a year for the next 10 years. Like, the nice thing is I'm in control of what I do want to sell. So it really depends on what I choose that is. In my case, I was giving up a piece of the master of my Oh My. So people are able to participate in the actual ownership of the song in that sense.
And that's for the life of the track. I mean, that's forever.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is for forever. Yeah.
Scott, question for you then, as the I'll call you the publishing guy, right? But you're way more than that. But how do I know that I've got all the rights required to do this?
That's an excellent question. One thing that that's not existed before is something Crystal mentioned, which is the smart contract, which is essentially the document that describes exactly what it is that you're acquiring through the acquisition of that NFT. And irrespective of the issue of that fraud can exist in these places, and there are other things that one should consider when putting an NFT into the marketplace. The idea being that you're buying into something that's unique. You're buying into a relationship. You're buying into a connection with your artist. I mean, the motivation of the buyer can be, I've seen it all over the place. The motivation can be a closer connection to the artist. The relationship can be purely an ROI. Like I'm going to invest, I'm going to buy this $600 NFT, and I'm looking at the numbers, and I can see in the smart contract what the ownership is that I will acquire through that NFT, and can, sort of game that out. The important thing here is to ensure that whatever it is that you're transferring through that NFT is clearly identified in the smart contract, and that smart contract is only as good as the people who created it. So understanding the veracity of that particular document is also important. It's no different than a lot of, I mean, one thing about NFTs that I find interesting is I think people think there's a whole lot of like smoke and mirrors and mystical stuff going on here. It's just, as Crystal said, it's just the evolution of this experiential thing. There's nothing new about this other than the technology used to convey the rights that are included in the NFT.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on NFT fraud, and we'll come to that. We've had a question from the World Wide Web. It's an anonymous question, but Scott, this is for you. What do you get when you own a percentage of the master rights of a track? Good question.
Well, again, I mean, it's a great question. And again, I think what I would say is you would have to refer to the smart contract to understand what is being conveyed in that transaction. In the case with Maggie, and in the case of some of the things that we're doing at Ureeqa, is we are trying to bundle both an ROI component and an experiential component into the NFTs we create. So not only are you getting the opportunity to look at your NFT as a true investment, but you're also looking at it and finding value in your ability to make a connection with an artist that you feel passionately about that you would otherwise not be able to get. Whether that's a Zoom call or a writing session, or, I mean, we sit around and dream this stuff up all the time. The sky's the limit about that. But those kind of are the essences of what we are looking to accomplish with these.
Well, thank you to Anonymous for sending that in. I've loved all your work, Anonymous, through the years. So we touched on fraud. So we were talking about, how do I know if I have all the rights required? Crystal, what if I don't have all the rights required?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of ways to look at this question, right? Because I'll give an example, which had happened pretty recently. So there is this NFT collection called Bored Ape Yacht Club. And I think that's the second top NFT collection now on Ethereum, right? And that's completely artwork based, gives you access to this whole rock and roll community and everything else that, you guys may be aware of. So there have been projects, and this happened to CryptoPunks as well, but let's talk about Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Every NFT right now is selling for 200K. So a couple of people actually, well, another project basically duplicated the entire Bored Ape Yacht Club project, flipped the images over, and issued a new smart contract and sold it on another NFT exchange. And people are actually buying it. So that whole NFT collection right now, I think the total volume traded is, I would say, close to $1 million. So that's about, worth about 5 or 6 of the actual original NFTs. So I actually had, funnily enough, I had someone ask me yesterday, so does this mean that actually a lot of people would just spin off copycats? All you got to do is to duplicate the smart contract, use an API to download all the images, put the metadata in, flip the images, and they call this Funky Ape Yacht Club as a parody, right? So I would say that, to be honest, there are so many. I think there's a lot of potential in the space, but you can't always control bad actors. And I think coming back to the point, do you actually, people don't have the rights to it. That's a fact, and fraud can happen. So, but I think what is the most important thing is that people can't duplicate the community. People can't duplicate the actual people who actually hold on to, this experience and have willingly bought in. So if you have that valuable database, the link to all the wallet addresses, the people who actually hold it, that's what you're buying. That's what, as an artist, you have. That is IP that people can't take away from you. Yeah, so that's sort of my view on the subject. Yeah.
So Maggie, from what you've seen in the space, and by the way, thank you everyone for the questions coming in. Please do keep the questions coming in. Really helps me have a very easy life. Maggie, we talked about what's exciting for you at the moment at the start of your process. I'm going to ask this question to you first, but then I'll ask Scott as well. But where do you think artists are going to really win from the whole NFT space?
I think it's just another way for artists to kind of cut out the middlemen. And when I say that, it's the traditional record labels. And I think that's where we can really win. Just like, this whole crypto world and community cut out traditional banks in a sense. I think this is for us cutting out the middlemen, which is the labels who are traditionally making the decisions, giving us not so great deals. And it's just really empowering artists and giving us the control to own and to monetize off of our artwork, because up until now, a lot of the labels have been reaping all of the benefits for the work that artists put in. And it can be a really tough business. So it's exciting because it just enables us, empowers us to really reap the benefits, which gives us more time and more resources to make even more art.
And so Scott, same question. Where are artists winning here? But I think the other question on the flip side of this is, where do you see artists making mistakes?
Well, artists are winning because what's become available to artists that has never existed before is an a la carte strategy towards financing their careers. Traditionally, record companies who are inherently evil people, and they know they are, so I don't want to hear any mumbo jumbo that they're not. The deals that artists get from record companies they're unconscionable. They're the only deals that when you go into it, if you're successful, you'll be able to renegotiate. That's the only thing I can tell you that just demonstrates the insanity of it. But with NFTs, artists are able to find an audience. I mean, they packed into an NFT is not only a financial model, but a promotion and marketing model to a community that is a vibrant social community. That if they buy into an artist, I am still waiting to see the crypto world and the blockchain community really embrace artists and take them to the next level in their careers solely off of their own community, irrespective of Spotify and all the other things out there. But where you traditionally would have to sign a contract with a record company for 5 albums, which could be 12 years of your life, and you give away your content in exchange for a royalty. Here, artists are really in control. They can decide what they want to give up, how much they want to give it up for, what they want to give into the NFT to create the value that they want to provide to their fans. Something that's just never existed before. You combine NFTs with the power of the social world that we now live in, record companies are in trouble. They really are. What was the second half of that question? What shouldn't you do?
First, just to say that this is your opinion, not necessarily Music Matters' opinion, because we would never cut off the hand that feeds that mouth. But no, the second question, the second part of the question, I think, and this is a really important part of it, is we talked about the the positives and where artists are winning. Where do you see artists are making mistakes, Scott?
I want to go back to something Crystal said earlier that I think is a common theme that we all feel strongly about here, which is I think there's this sugar high that's occurred because of this new technology and these new opportunities and these prices that are being paid for content, that I'm thrilled that people are being able to create such value for their content. But NFTs are like any other commodity. If you don't have a marketing plan and a promotional strategy to deploy those things in a way that you can actually make a real connection with the community, then don't do it. I see a lot of people, I'm constantly, bouncing around on multiple platforms, and I see music NFTs up there all the time from people I don't know. There's no story to it. I don't really know what it is that they're trying to sell. The messaging is not clear. And I can't stress enough that just don't create an NFT for the sake of NFTs. Have a goal, have a game plan. Use the fact that this is a tremendous marketing and promotional tool for your career, not only a mechanism for acquiring financing, but another mechanism for building and growing things for yourself. I think that's where the artists miss the boat right now.
Some great answers in there, and we've got a couple of questions in from the World Wide Web. First, the Mike it doesn't work. Mike Wild has asked, I've just created a unique video for my next single release. Could you give examples of how I could take this video into the NFT space? Perhaps is that a Ureeqa or a Bolt question? Maybe Crystal first.
I mean, I think following up from what Scott had basically mentioned, right? I think let's put it this way: you can have a piece of content, and create different versions of it, and that could be one NFT collection in itself. But I think it's sort of like going from one piece of content and socializing the content. You know what I mean? Because that one piece of content allowing people to sort of create something out of it could be very interesting in itself. So I'm not sure how that would all look like, because I'm not the creative person in this room, to be honest with you. Probably Maggie would be a better person to answer this. Like, how do you take a video, and allow for people to create memes around it? I'm not, it's sort of like socializing the content and letting people put a take on that piece of content. I think is actually what makes community connections travel a lot more. So maybe Maggie or Ureeqa. I don't have a good answer for this one, unfortunately.
We met Maggie at the start of the journey. Do you have any advice on taking video into NFT space?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to get creative with it. You could either include someone in the music video, have them star in it, maybe have them help you write the treatment. I think the fun thing is, as a creative, this is kind of a creative space for us to explore new ways that we can include audience and fans in this whole process. If they did want to be in it, if they were in another part of the world and they wanted to zoom in it, have them included somehow. If they did want to be a part of the writing or the production of it, I think that would be a really fun way to include people.
And maybe just to add to Maggie's point, I'm just thinking about this out loud as well. I think one thing about the NFT space that people love is having a rarity score for every single unique piece of content. Whether it's an audio track, whether it's a picture, whether it's a video. I mean, by itself, that's why different people buy variations of one piece of content, because each piece of content, well, like each monkey, for example, is super unique, right? But taking monkeys out of the picture, like to Maggie's point, maybe there are different versions of the video with different treatments, different people starring in it, people contributing to that original piece of video could be a very interesting idea.
Yeah. And of course they could, the straight up the middle answer could be they could just have partial ownership of just that video.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun to get creative with stuff like that.
It's a good question. I mean, it really is the start of the process. Scott, what would you say? Mike has created a unique video. What are we going to do with it? What would Ureeqa advise him to do? Obviously, work with Ureeqa.
I mean, yes, clearly. I don't know that I can add more than what's been said. I think you can, you know, as you're looking at your video, you're going to have financing issues. You're going to have storyboard issues. You're going to have choreography issues. You're going to have, you know, wardrobe things that are going to happen. There's so many things that you can spin off in this world. I mean, I think you shared with me, Jasper, one of your favorite artists, Peter Gabriel. Could you imagine if you could buy, you know, the jacket, if you could acquire as an NFT the jacket he wore in his latest, you know, music video? I mean, that would be incredible. Could you imagine being able to participate in owning a unique remix of a particular video that only you own? I mean, it's the sky's the limit in terms of, you know, it's just the limitations. It's just how creative you can be. And I would encourage artists that are particularly early in their game to really push the envelope, because it's really more about the marketing. At that point, you're really marketing and trying to create an audience for yourself. So the more incredible, interesting things that you can generate as NFTs that either stem from your video or are, as Maggie said, an ownership component of the video, can really open doors and find you, you know, new fans everywhere.
So we're running a little bit out of time, but this really has been a really fascinating session. So we've got one more question from the floor, and then I've got a couple more myself. But Robert Collins has asked, and I think, Scott, this is back to you as well, but how will or can NFTs change rights models? Sorry, by the way, I have a very hungry dog in the background. So if you hear any whining, it's LA dinner time, right? So so Lulu, you're going to get fed. How will or can NFTs change right model? Does the panel see any step changes in the monetization of digital rights? Scott.
One thing that I definitely foresee is the efficiency of the collection of money around the world, the collection of that are derived from those rights. So it's complicated and a little boring, and we don't need to go into the details of it, but the way that money flows in the publishing world is so circuitous. So an exploited moment might happen somewhere in Singapore today, and an artist might not see that money for 9 to 12 months and maybe more. So I believe that the things that we are getting to play with today are going to create enormous efficiencies in that and help artists acquire the revenue they've generated much quicker. One of the downsides for being an artist is it takes forever to get paid. I have friends that are in other businesses complain to me, they're on net 90 days with their, you know, vendors. And I think, oh my goodness, you know, it might take us 12 to 16 months to see anything, you know, from a particular exploitable moment. So I think that is something that I'm very excited to see develop.
Okay, cool. So we're coming to the end now. Don't forget, if you're watching this, if you want to meet Scott, Maggie, or Crystal, you just need to join us after this session in the private meet and greet area. You have to be signed up on the Bizzabo site, and you register and all that kind of stuff. It's very easy. And once you're there, it's like a virtual hangout. We'll have a chat. So Crystal, I mentioned this right at the beginning. In November, we came up, or you came up with the Quack list, which I subsequently trademarked, which was a top 10 kind of things for in the NFT space. We don't have time for 10. Have you got 3 of your, what if you were sitting down with an artist, if I was a new artist and you would say 3 things that they need to look out for to launch an NFT, what would they be? I
think there are 3 key things. Well, that's actually a good one. One is, how do you actually turn an army of advocates into a sort of a decentralized autonomous organization, you know, a community that actually allows, that has liquidity options, you know, that, you know, I think to Scott's point, right, allows for the artist to be paid, you know, in minutes versus 12 months. And I think being able to transition your community into that decentralized autonomous organization is something that artists should start thinking about. So that's one. The second thing about, you know, actually this is the most common question I get: which blockchain, you know, should we issue our NFT on? Because there's so many different options today, right? I would say honestly, Ethereum still is the default standard, and you can do bridging and a couple of other things to other chains if you like. But Ethereum should be the default standard. And I think lastly is, how do you actually scale a unique piece of content? How do you scale rarity? So I actually love what Scott had said about, you know, remixes. You know, maybe, you know, Maggie could produce a original track one day, and, you know, there's a remix that happened, you know, by some ardent community members somewhere else, you know, maybe in Canada, for example, or, you know, in South America. And because the remix now has, you know, two contributors, which is Maggie and someone else, the provenance of that can be tracked. And if people actually use that piece of content, maybe say, for example, in the upcoming Vote Plus .tv social network, you know, the rights and the royalties get immediately paid to Maggie, as well as the new remixer of that track, right? And I think that provenance is so much easier for people to consider. So I would say, yeah, how do you scale rarity? Which blockchain? Got to use Ethereum, but, you know, there'll be a lot of bridges moving forward in that future. And finally, how do you scale a community into a decentralized autonomous organization? Yeah, but I think in the roommates, I can give the top 10 list.
Fantastic. Well, look, we're out of time. I've got more questions. I'm going to ask the three of you in the meeting room. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you the three of you for joining from all over the world. Thank you anyone who's logged in to watch the session as well. Really appreciate your time and feedback. As ever, I've written lots of notes. It's not about the money necessarily. It's great marketing. It's great community building. It's empowering your fans. Authenticity is important. There's so many opportunities in the ecosystem. Opportunity rocks right now. But you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. And you need to have a goal. I think, you know, it was actually Ed Shapiro who originally said this from Reed Smith. Don't release an NFT for the sake of an NFT. Very, very important. I love this line about the evolution of human connection. That's a t-shirt, Crystal. It's a smart. We talked about smart contracts. We talked about NFT fraud. We talked about getting paid faster, which is very important all the time, and transferring your fans into advocates. So I think this was a wonderful session. Thank you to Scott. Thank you to Maggie. Thank you to Crystal. And we'll see you back in the meet and greet area. But and thank you for everyone for joining. Please do give us feedback on anything that you've seen today or in any of the Music Academy sessions. Up next, I think on the I'm going to get this wrong, but the 27th of January, we're talking to brands and we're talking about sync. We're talking about how to get your music into an ad, into a film, but also how do you work with a soft drink? How do you work with a mobile phone? How do you work with a telco? So we'll have the brands, we'll have the agencies, and we'll have the synchronization people as well. So that's on the 27th of January. But until then, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Crystal.
Bye-bye.